Good evening. You guys were double. Why do we have 8 participants?
We have attendees who are on with us already.
Are. Wonderful.
Yeah. Our bright and early people. I love it.
Welcome, welcome. Wait for a few more people to come into the room. I like to say that for work meetings. It just makes us feel like we're kind of in the room, right?
It does.
This is good. When we get enough people here and when we hit the top of the hour, I will go around with introductions. I will be the host tonight. We have Megan as our guest presenter, and Bridget and Monica are joining me to participate and contribute to this discussion. So good evening and hello to all. We will be using the Q&A and chat features. So if you have any questions or thoughts that you want to share with the group or directly with the host or the panelists, please use those features and contribute your questions or thoughts there. Yes, we're also using the raise hand feature. Sandy, I see that your hand is up. Are you reminding me to share that we're using the raise hand feature, or did you have a question?
So Sandy is muted because of the nature of the webinar function. So she'd have to type her question in, I believe.
She's just reminding.
Great. Thank you, Sandy. Monica, will you have the ability to unmute?
No, we don't have the ability to unmute our attend. Oh, actually I can. I take that back. Apologies. I can.
So many ways to contribute.
Right.
Okay. All right. We are at the top of the hour. So I am going to get started. All right. So good evening, everyone. My name is Sonia Pinkney, and I would like to draw your attention to the top left that this program is being recorded. So if you do not want to be recorded, please drop off at this time. To introduce myself, I am a member of the Colonial Area Anti-Racism and Social Equity Alliance. I'm a Plymouth Meeting resident and a registered voter. I am so happy to have with me here tonight Bridget Gill, Monica Salvia, and Megan Griffin-Shelly. As I shared, Megan will be presenting tonight about redistricting and the impact in our local area. Bridget and Monica are community residents joining to contribute to the discussion. I will go around now and start with introductions so that each of our guests can introduce themselves, starting with our chair, Bridget Gill.
Unmute. Hi. Good evening, everyone. As Sonia said, my name is Bridget Gill. I am a resident of Plymouth Township. I've been here 10 years. Around 10 years, yes, we've called Plymouth Meeting our home. I also have the utmost honor as serving as co-chair of CARC alongside Jamina Clay. One of our main goals of CARC, I'm sure if you've made your way here tonight, you know about our organization. Hopefully you're a part of it. One of our main goals is to elevate the voices of people of color, specifically in the colonial area. And one way we can do that nationwide is to ensure voting access, voting rights, and proper representation to communities of color. When that representation does not happen, we risk forgetting all the voices. And so when that comes to local government, that's super important. And that's why we all have a role to play. I feel really lucky to be amongst a ton of knowledge tonight, specifically when it comes to the topic of redistricting. And I work closely with these folks all the time, but I'm learning so much through this. And so I'm happy to join you all tonight to learn more and figure out how we can mobilize our area for more positive change. So thanks for joining us. Thanks, Sonia.
Thank you, Bridget. Equity and representation are very key in the issue of redistricting. So thank you for calling our attention to that and for Carsey playing a role in that. Monica Salvia, resident of Plymouth Meeting, if you could please introduce yourself and share how you became interested in the topic of redistricting.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thanks, Sonia. So hello, everyone. As you can see, my name is Monica Salvia. I'm a resident of Plymouth Meeting, and I am also a registered voter. So my interest in redistricting started with an invitation from my neighbor, so it's her fault. In 2019, she invited me to attend a talk presented by Fair Districts PA. So you'll hear more about Fair Districts in today's chat, but it was at that event 3 years ago that inspired both my neighbor and I to attend Plymouth Council meetings for the first time to advocate for and eventually receive a local resolution in support of fair redistricting legislation for our state. So I just want to say hello to Chris Monero, who is chair of the Plymouth Council and is on here as an attendee tonight. Chris, thanks for your support. Unfortunately, though many areas did put forward those local resolutions, the state legislature never passed that kind of fair redistricting that we were looking for, but our passion and advocacy continues.
Excellent. Thank you, Monica. As we'll talk about more today, our representatives must live in our district. Our district is our community. And so while the lines defining that community change, it's important to look at the implications. And this year, the implications are pretty significant. Now, I'd like to turn our attention to our guest speaker, Megan Griffin-Shelly. Megan is a resident of White Marsh Township. She works as a constituent service advisor for a Montgomery County representative. Megan is extremely interested in the redistricting process and has volunteered with the nonpartisan citizens organization, Fair Districts PA. Megan, thank you so much for being with us today as we jump right into the meat of our topic. Please share with us why redistricting is an important topic now in 2022.
Hi, Sonia. Great. So thanks so much for having me. So every 10 years, we have our electoral districts that are redrawn at all levels of government, local, state, and federal levels, based on population changes. And that process itself is called redistricting. And so it happens every 10 years. So we're about to elect representatives who could potentially, if they choose to keep running, be in their position for 10 years. So it's really important that we elect people who share our values and Carsey's values. So I'm excited to hone in on very specifically the colonial area, specifically the state house maps and what the implications of that are.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This exciting news, please share more.
Of course. So really excited. Let's just jump right into it here. All right. So this is a picture here of the preliminary maps that are for, again, the state house district. So these are for our representatives in Harrisburg. And as you can see, our colonial area is split into two different electoral districts for state house. White Marsh is in the 148th with parts of Lower Marion and Narberth. And then we have Conchie and Plymouth being united with Norristown to make up the 54th district. And as you mentioned, Sonia, in order to run and be a state representative in PA, you must live within the boundaries of, your district. And so currently, White Marsh is part of a district that does have a sitting incumbent, someone who lives within the boundaries of that district. But this district of Norristown, Plymouth, and Conchie is essentially a new district in which there is no sitting incumbent, no one in Harrisburg representing who lives in one of those areas. And so that means that we're going to have, come 2023, some brand new person representing part of our community, which is really, really exciting.
Thanks, Megan. I just really want to call that out. So it sounds to
Yeah.
me, which I think you just said, that we have an opportunity to elect a brand new person to represent us in Harrisburg. Is that correct?
Yes, so we have this opportunity where there's
Excellent.
no sitting incumbent in the 54th district. And so we're going to have someone, brand new heading to Harrisburg in 2023 to represent us, which is like super, super exciting. So that's why I'm really excited to be here tonight. So as I said, we're going to hone in even more a little bit on the 54th district here. So if we go to our next slide, we're going to look a little bit more at the specific data of the 54th district and explain why that's very important. So here is the 54th district, like zoned in a little bit more on. And again, as mentioned, there's no sitting incumbent here. And so if we look at the district, it's very blue here, and that just is showing that the partisan lean of the 54th district is that it's extremely democratic. So if you look, it's about 70% Democratic and 28% Republican. And so what that means, of course.
Sorry, I wanted to pause for a moment. So there was a question in the chat, and I just wanted to address it. So with the new district being created, this means that, I'm sorry, the question was around who is presently representing us. How are we represented now if this is a new district? That's the question.
So now, Plymouth Meeting and Conchie currently are part of another district. So for example, Conchie and most of Plymouth is currently tied in with White Marsh Township and parts of Lower Marion and Narberth, and that's represented by Mary Jo Daly. And she does not live in Plymouth or Conchie, but she lives in one of those other areas, and so she's our current representative. But come 23, she doesn't live in Plymouth or Conchie, so she will not be running in the 54th, and that's why it will be someone new.
Great, thank you.
Of course. So again, just pointing out here that this district is heavily Democratic, and so what that means is most likely whoever wins the primary election is the Democratic primary election is probably going to go on to win the general election and actually be the person representing parts of the Plymouth and Conchie parts of our community in 2023. Something else that's really important, and I think super cool to point out here, if you look at the voting age population data, you can see that it's about 54% white, 18% Hispanic, 23% Black, 5% Asian, 2% Native. And so seeing that diversity of the voters gives us an even greater opportunity to elect a candidate who also has a different perspective or a diverse perspective, and can bring new ideas and different backgrounds and experiences to Harrisburg, which may not be currently being represented as well at this moment, but gives us this opportunity to elect someone of a diverse background.
So I just
Megan,
sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Sonia, go ahead.
I was going to say, I just think that is really exciting. The demographics of our community, when you take a look at it, it really is a diverse community, right? We see that we have a significant amount of representation from non-white groups. And so the opportunity to have a diverse community with a representative that represents that community is just pretty exciting to me. So thank you very much for highlighting those demographics and this opportunity that we have in front of us. Monica, you have a question?
I do. I have a question, but a question just came up in the chat about whether or not these maps are final. And I think that's probably ahead of my question. So.
Yeah, so again, these maps are technically still preliminary maps. We expect across the state potentially slight changes and also potential litigation to come. But as of now, they are preliminary. But breaking news, or on Friday, actually around, I think it's 1 o'clock, the commission who drew these maps is planning on having like a meeting that is going to be live streamed, and we can make sure we put that link up on our Facebook so people can access it. Again, 1 o'clock, they're having a meeting. I don't know for sure if that's where they're going to be voting on final maps, but it very well could be. But as of now, these maps are preliminary, but again, we don't expect much changes to specifically like this 54th district here.
Yeah. So my question about this, I look at it and I think, oh my gosh, there's no one. So there's no one yet. Are there lists? Are there names out yet, Megan, so we can start parsing through and seeing, who we might want to vote for?
Yeah, so as of now, the date where someone who wants to run can file a nomination petition is February 15th. And the time where that period ends to file a petition is, I believe, March 8th or 9th. So by mid-March, we'll know like who, the official candidates running for this 54th State House district are going to be at that time. But as of now, I'm sure there are people definitely considering it, probably.
Yeah, that's right around the corner.
Yeah. All righty. So as we said, this primary election is very important. It's going to be in May, and it's very important, especially to this 54th district, because again, whoever wins the primary here is most likely to go on to win the general. So I wanted to highlight a couple things about primary elections. So in Pennsylvania, we actually have what's called closed primaries. So that means that a voter must be registered with either of the two major political parties, the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, in order to vote for candidates in these elections. So if you are registered, you may want to check your status to make sure you're registered with a specific party, or if you're not yet registered, when you register, make sure you register with a specific party so that you're able to vote in the primary election. So the last day to register is May 2nd. The last day to request a mail-in or absentee ballot is May 10th. And I do want to just point out that is live. My family and I actually, we requested our mail-in ballots already this weekend. So you can actually request a mail-in ballot now. And then if you choose to vote on election day, which is May 17th, the polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
So Megan, what if someone is apprehensive about aligning themselves with a particular party? Because you clearly said that you have to be registered with a party in order to have a voice or a vote in the primaries.
Yeah, so again, in PA, you do have to align with a party for a primary election. So if I wanted to register now with a particular party and vote in the primary on May 17th, but then after that primary, you can always change your registration to the opposite party or to be an independent or non-affiliated voter. So you're not stuck with what you initially register. You can always change it later. In between each election, there's that cycle where you can change it.
Great, thank you.
Of course. All righty. So the most exciting part are calls to action. So we kind of, Carsey here wants to kind of call people to action in two major ways. The first is to, consider being a candidate. If you or someone you think would be good to represent us in Harrisburg and the State House, definitely consider, running for office. And then in addition to that, everyone, including candidates themselves, can be a voter as well. So you want to check your registration status. If you're not registered, you definitely want to register. Again, you can request your mail-in and absentee ballots for the May primary now. And then also it's important to get involved at the grassroots level and maybe join, organizations that are, trying to reach other people to get them to register to vote as well. So definitely, I hope everyone right now on their computer is checking their registration status or registering or requesting a mail-in ballot, because it's very important to do it while it's on your mind right now.
Yeah, and thank you very much for those calls to action. First about being a candidate, it's important to, start working towards those steps if you are interested in being a candidate, or if you know someone that's would be a good representative of our community. And certainly the calls to action around voting, knowing your registration, and rallying other voters, getting other folks registered, letting know who the candidates are, and speaking up for those candidates. Carsey will be doing more work in this vein. If you're interested in becoming involved in working with us, please contact us for that. Contact Melissa Levney. She is on our Facebook group, and she will help you to do that work. So we're not looking for a lot of your time, really looking for 1 or 2 meetings, and also to get folks aligned with a number of different activities. A lot of these are already coming into your inbox as far as some voter registration and canvassing activities. So it's really around, connecting with others to go out in the community and get out the vote. Some folks may not be aware of opportunities to canvass, write postcards. And so this is another way to get tapped into that. So there's a place for everyone. A lot of it can be done on your own time. So if you're interested in doing that, please contact Melissa Livney. Her information is in the chat. Thank you so much, Melissa, for putting your information in the chat for folks to have. All right. Are there any other questions, Bridget or Monica, that you have or that you see from the community?
I just wanted to say quickly a programming note. I feel like I'm on PBS. We have an ambitious goal here in Carsey to try and meet weekly or close to weekly until the election, the primary election, to talk about something, get out the vote, something election 2022. As you can see, we really did keep this to 20-25 minutes. So we're serious about that. We know that everyone's really busy, but one of our major goals is to engage people. And so the more of you that we can get into this conversation with your expertise and your opinions and your questions, the better. So please be checking our Facebook group for our weekly chat. And they'll always be on Tuesdays because Tuesdays is election day.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us. Have a great evening, and let's continue the conversation on our Facebook page.
Thank you.